Welcome back to Fault Lines. My name is Jamarl Thomas. I am typically joined by my co-host Shane Stranahan, but Shane is not feeling all that well, so I am running this ship. We're coming to you live, or I am coming to you live. I'm so used to him being here. I'm coming to you live out of the station from Washington, D.C. If you guys live in the area, you can always catch us on radio at 105.5 FM and 1390 AM. We're also kicking it around in Kansas City, 102.9 FM and 104.7 FM. Also, if you are digging what I am putting down, whatever platform you're consuming this content on, Fault Lines, give us a like, and share the content. We're always trying to grow and expand, particularly this channel. If you guys want to join in on the conversation, you can always send the chat, a tweet, and of course, you can reach us by phone at 202-521-1320. That is 202-521-1320. Your engagement on this show makes the show what it is. So definitely don't be shy, critical, in agreement. Feel free to call in, whatever you want to talk about. So what I want to talk about, in lieu of anybody else talking about anything, has to do with the Republicans and them getting a little skittish, a little scared, some of them are, in districts that they're going to have to go back to and explain, look person in the face, I didn't vote for that bill that was going to ensure that you were going to be intact because of X or Y. So now, a little concerned, they want to be able to make this vote. McConnell will not bring it up for a vote. Now, what I want to talk about is the impetus for that. Meaning, I want to get into why would Republicans who were against this bill all of a sudden come to Jesus. And the argument that I am making is the reason they're coming to Jesus is because of public pressure. Now, understand what I mean. Oftentimes, the public is out of the political space. The public and what the public wants amounts, I think it was like one of the studies, or Princeton study, if I'm not mistaken, to like statistical noise. Meaning, your parties have gamed the system to such an extent where 90% of the races are won by the side with the most cash. What do you think that incentivizes? You tell me. If you have a situation where you have dollars and pitchforks, and there are no pitchforks, there are only dollars, and this goes on for 40 years, and you get the ability to make an argument that a group, multiple groups, accepts, it is not the job of me to get your vote. It is your job to get mine. I mean, to basically throw yourself at me so I can beat whatever Republican. Now, why is this way? Understand, when those guys are going back in there terrified that they're going to lose that race, that's something that the left should pay attention to. That's something that progressive Democrats should pay attention to. This notion that a political space cares about their voters. How weird, how strange, how representative of a democracy. That is what it should look like. Your political leader should care. That should not be an anomaly. That should be the operating procedure. And the reason it becomes the operating procedure is not because the candidates want it. The candidates were perfectly willing to blow off this vote. They were perfectly willing to not deal with the material concerns, to allow the Treasury to be looted, to give $1,200 and going about this kind of theatrical surface, to go into the pageants, whether Democrat and Republican. Democrats bringing on Republicans to attack lefties. What the public wants, who cares? That's not normal. That is not indicative of a democracy where they blow off what the public wants. And let's deal with the Democrats for the moment, because that's the part that I kind of want to make the point on. You have Joe Biden in a recent question. Now, Joe Biden on the debate stage yesterday, or a few days ago, made every instance that Trump attacked him. And look, I said Trump won the debate, but it's an empty win. I said Trump won the debate because Trump had a plan, he had a strategy, he had something that he wanted to accomplish, and he had something that he wanted to do in regards to Biden. I want to get Joe Biden to repudiate the left over and over and over and over again. Green New Deal, nope. Medicare fund, nope. And at one point, defund the police, nope. I'm not for any of that stuff. My name is Joe Biden. And people should have known that. That's called politics. This idea of telling people whatever they want to hear in the primaries. And then by the time you get out the primaries, you change, you pivot. Because the primaries at that point is about mano a mano. It's tribal. And so the fact that I've lied to you flagrantly for the last X number of months in order to get past opposition that you actually agree with the policies on matters less, because this guy's a maniac, this guy's an ogre, this guy's going to destroy America, and so we got to just vote for Biden. He knows that. He understands that. He understands that that is the typical way politics works because he's been in politics for like 47 years. Now, the audience looks at that and accepts it. Because at the end of the day, you have nowhere else to go, which is the mantra. Joe Biden was asked by the press, straightforward, hey, by you repudiating all of those policies of the left, do you think that you might be moving too far to the center? And Joe Biden said, I won the primary, right? Now, the catch with this is, yes, you indeed won the primary on an electability argument. The problem with this is a large number of people didn't vote for you. They didn't vote for you. You didn't get their votes. You didn't secure their votes. You have a large number of youth, a large number of people of color that did not go to the polls and vote for you. They voted for Sanders. Now, you making the argument that you won the primary is fine, but you still have a bunch of people that you didn't get. Now, you're assuming they're going to vote for you. So much so that, again, right, if you don't vote for me, you're not even black, based on what Joe Biden has said. So understand what I'm saying here. You are a captured vote. Now, this has been taking place for the last 40 and 50 years, and I can forgive the left for this for the last 40 and 50 years, but not in 2020. 2020 is distinct. In 2020, you won the argument. Carter G. Woodson said, lead a man to the back door long enough, the man will seek the back door out if it's not available to him. It's paraphrasing, but basically, if you marginalize, undermine, subvert, keep a person in a horrible situation for a period of time, that person will come to think that situation is normal. And many of them will seek that weird, horrible situation out if it's not available. I'm making the point that the perspective of the left and progressive Democrats are warped, utterly backwards. And it's built that way for the last 40 or 50 years where you were marginalized. And 2020 was different. What happened in 2020? You learned that A, the Democratic Party was willing to tank it in order to stop you. You don't believe me? Go back and look at the debate where all of the Democrats are on stage. Sanders says, are you going to accept? Meaning, if somebody else gets the number of delegates, are you going to back him? Sanders says yes. Everybody else on stage says no. Everybody on stage. And what that means is that each and every one of those Democrats full well understood that they would have no opportunity to win this race because no lefty would back them if they rip it out of Sanders' hands. On the second side of that, you also learn that your policies are popular. Medicare for all climbed. It was unthought of in 2008. And this time, right now, 67 or 69% for the rest of America. 88% for Democrats. Now, you as a lefty, say for the moment you don't take any other policy, but you should take other policies because you've won the policy arguments across the board. Expansion of Social Security, elimination of student debt, all of these things. You won these arguments. And in the context of the Democratic Party, you won them by a large share. And despite winning the policy argument, 88% within the party, the moment that Sanders loses, you bend the knee. It's as if you believe that the only political space available to you is that. The political space is purely conceptual. None of those laws are real in real terms. What makes them real is the force that can be applied to the individual to force them to conform, not to mention the other people that kind of agree with the laws. I'm making the point that the political space is just one conceptual space within the context of plenty of things. You just need to find a way to impede the political system, to intersect it, to be able to place your will and apply some level of leverage in order to force it to be in your interest. What did those Republicans do when they had to go back and they had to confront people who they think are going to be angry and make them lose their seat? I'm making the point that your reality should be the same. You should engage the political space from the standpoint of the left and make one basic argument that is flat fact, infinitely true. It is the responsibility, philosophically, legally, of the candidate to get my vote. And if you have 30 million people that when Sanders lost, instead of Sanders bending the knee, instead of AOC bending the knee, instead of all of these people immediately turning around, okay, we're going to back Biden, all of this tough talk goes away in a heartbeat, even radicals. And they missed the point that my argument is not a rah-rah for Trump. My argument is a point of your job as a person is to be a patriot and to hold your candidate accountable. And the fact that you ended up with Trump and Biden on that debate stage is an exact reason why you are to hold your candidates accountable. Otherwise, it is a race to the bottom. 2020 was the year that you win 88% support for a Medicare for All program in the midst of a pandemic with over 30 million people without their health care. And your response to that is, all right, Bernie lost, so that's it. Are you backing a party or are you backing the policy? Which one is it? There's a dramatic difference. If 30 million people said, look, we're backing Medicare for All, it is unconscionable that we even need to push the party to make this argument. Biden said he'd veto it. That's unconscionable. It's unethical. It's even immoral. You need to do something tangibly, in real terms, about all of these people without health care. And fact of the matter is Obamacare may be torched in a few months. Medicare for All is a policy that the overwhelming majority of Americans have accepted. 20 Democrats was on stage taking shots at it, and it still come out with the level of 88% support. If you and the party is willing to tank it to a maniac, a man who you call the end of all things, the blackness, the darkened sky, the apocalypse with legs, if indeed you are saying that that man is that bad, that it is unconscionable that the Democratic Party doesn't accept a Medicare for All program that would organically bring the party together and organically put energy behind it. You understand all of these lefties that bent the knee, that bent over immediately, that you're pushing Biden, you're going after Biden, you're refusing to accept what he's putting. It's politics. That's how it's done. That force, that leverage. Why do you think Boris Johnson passed a law that was against the European courts? Because he was willing to push it. Because that's his job as a politician. I am making the point that the job of the left is to do the same. And that is not what the left does. The left does the opposite. The left, over 40 years, capitulates. Your argument the day the Sanders lost, even before that, should have been, this is the policy that the American public wants. This is the policy that the American public needs. And this is the policy that 30 million, 40 million of us are accepting. Every Democrat, progressive Democrat, broken horse in the Democratic Party should have also said, we agree with them. You might lose. And in the context of that, being able to get the party to have a second thought. You've issued a demand. Power concedes nothing without a demand. And there's your demand. It is up for the Democratic Party to accept or deny that demand. But if they deny that demand and they're willing to tank it, as opposed to appropriating the policies that would bring people together and beat a monster and maniac, then there are questions for you to ask about whether you are indeed in a representative government. If a country with a party with 88% support for a particular policy tanks it, we don't want to appropriate it. We don't like the standard that is being set by you forcing us to do this. Then you have qualms and questions about your representative government and whether indeed you're in a representative government. I understand that Trump wins under that scenario. But under that scenario, the Democratic Party was willing to tank it to a man who they call a maniac as opposed to appropriating policy that would have organically brought the country together in the midst of a pandemic with 200,000 people dead and 7 million people infected. That is your paltry Democratic Party and a paucity of ideas. But those paucity ideas are only there because there's no accountability from the standpoint of the left to hold that party accountable. I'm making a point to you that these things could be different. 2020 could have been different, but we laid down. You guys are listening to Fault Lines with Thomas and Stranahan. We will be back